Welcome to this AQA GCSE Sociology Revision Blast. Today we are focusing on perspectives of crime and deviance, which is part of paper 2. We're going to start off proceedings today with the 60-second challenge. You have 60 seconds to match the key phrases to their definitions, matching the letters on the left with the numbers on the right. You might want to have a pen and paper at the ready. Off we go. Okay, if you need a little bit more time to match a few up that you haven't matched yet, then pause the video. Let's reveal the answers. So we have A5 together, chivalry thesis, which is the idea that women are treated more favourably by the police and other people in authority. We've got B3 together, corporate crime, which is crime committed by big business. C7 is strain theory, the idea that pressure to succeed makes people turn to crime. D8 is differential enforcement, the view that the police and courts do not implement laws fairly. E4 is status frustration, where people who lack status and out of frustration develop their own norms and values that often go against those in mainstream society. F1 is a demonisation of women, the idea that women are treated more harshly by the media when they've committed certain crimes that go against the ideas of femininity. G6 is master status, a label status is the most important fact that people notice about a person. So, for example, they might be an ex-criminal. And H2 is anime, where there are no longer any norms guiding behaviour. Well done if you got those correct. Let's move on to some true or false statements. So our first one is, functionalist Durkheim claimed that crime is inevitable and part of a healthy society. Is this true or false? We'll leave it up for a moment. What do you think? Is this one true or false? Let's reveal. It is true. Okay, number 2. New right sociologist Charles Murray blames crime on absent fathers. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. It is true. So he talks about boys growing up without father figures who therefore lack role models and are more likely to get involved in antisocial behaviour. Let's have a look at number 3. Marxists believe that humans are naturally greedy and this is what drives our obsession with consumerism. Is this true or false? Let's have a look. It is false. They believe that we get messages of consumerism from advertising giants, obviously part of the capitalist system. Number 4. Feminists believe that poverty draws women into criminal behaviour. True or false? Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, so feminists believe that one of the reasons that women may get involved in criminal behaviour is because they are more likely to be in poverty than men. 5. Interactionists believe that labels have no relevance to deviant behaviour. Is this true or false? Okay, let's have a look. It is false. So Howard Beckett in particular did some work looking at the concept of master status and labelling people as criminals and how this would lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. Number 6. Marxists believe that police are more severe on recording corporate crime or white-collar crime. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. It is false. They believe the opposite. They believe that police are far less severe on corporate or white-collar crime. Marxists believe that the justice system is set up to help protect the ruling classes. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. They believe it's true. So they talk about how the ruling classes are represented in terms of things like being judges. They are part of the government. Therefore they play a really important role in passing laws that protect the ruling classes and not the working classes. Right, number 8. Feminists believe that crime against women is over-reported. True or false? Let's have a look. It is false. And our last one, feminists believe that the police sometimes dismiss domestic abuse as a private matter. Is this true or false? Let's have a look. It is true. Right, we're going to move on to a connection wall activity now. We have 3 groups of key phrases here, all to do with crime and deviance from different perspectives. And obviously we have 12 boxes on the screen. The first task that we want to do is we want to find the 4 boxes that are functionalist arguments about the need for crime in society. So functionalists argue that there is a need for some crime in society. 4 of the boxes are part of their argument. Let's see if we can find those. So if you can pause the video, try and look for the 4 that you think are functionalist arguments about the need for crime in society. When you're done, unpause and we'll see whether you are correct. So if you haven't paused the video now, please do so. Okay, let's reveal and see if you have got these right. So functionalist arguments about the need for crime in society include acts of punishment deter potential criminals, it strengthens collective sentiment when we stand together against crime, seeing justice being done is good for society, and it reminds the rest of us how wrong committing a crime is. Okay, this time we would like you to look for the feminist arguments about why women sometimes commit crime. So we've got 8 boxes left. 4 of those boxes are feminist arguments for why women commit crime. So again, pause the video, see if you can work out those 4. Once you have 4 down, then unpause and we'll check whether you are correct or not. Pause the video now if you haven't already done so. Okay, let's see how you got on. So we have response to domestic abuse. We've got women more likely to be living in poverty. We've got drawn into crimes where they are controlled by men, and women are more likely to have lower earnings. So on the screen, we have 4 boxes left. What we would like you to do this time is try and work out what connects these 4 boxes. So we've got social control protects the wealth of the rich, response to consumerism, working classes are punished more, and the media tends to ignore corporate crime. So what's the link here? Again, pause the video if you need to. Jot down the link. When you're ready, unpause, and we will reveal the answer. Okay, let's have a look. They are Marxist arguments about crime. So well done if you worked that out. Right, let's move on to a 30-second challenge. We want to know what are the different responses to strain identified by Merton. Clue, there are 5 of them. You have got 30 seconds to note them down. Okay, let's see whether you got these correct or not. They're conformity, innovation, retreatism, ritualism, and rebellion. And they lead really nicely into our next 60-second challenge, which is asking you to match up the key phrases to the definition. And this time they are all responses to strain according to Merton. You need to match the letters on the left with the numbers on the right. You've got a minute to do so. Okay, let's reveal the answers. So we have A for conformity, pursuing cultural goals through socially approved means, so i.e. working hard. B3, ritualism, using socially approved means to achieve more humble and modest goals. So perhaps you decide that having a big salary and a huge house is not important as maybe other people think it is. C2 is retreatism, rejecting both the cultural goals and the means to obtain them. D1 is innovation, using socially unapproved goals or unconventional means to obtain culturally approved goals. So the idea is here that some people might turn to crime in order to have that nice lifestyle. And E5 is rebellion, rejecting the cultural goals and means and working to replace them with something else. Right, let's move on to another 30-second challenge. What are the stages of Howard Becker's labelling theory? Off we go. Okay, let's have a look and see whether you have worked out the 5 stages. So we have got negative label, we've got self-concept, we've got label reinforced, we've got master status, and we've got deviant career. Now, these are not in order on purpose because that's going to lead us really nicely into our next activity, which is scrambled sentences. So on the screen here, you have the 5 different stages of Howard Becker's labelling theory. You just need to pop them in the correct order. So he talks about a self-fulfilling prophecy. How do we get there? You might want to pause the video for a minute or two. Note down the order that you think these go into. Once you are done, then we will check your order when you've unpaused the video. So as soon as you are ready, pause the video. When you're ready and you've got them in the order that you're happy with, then unpause and we will check. If you haven't paused the video, please do so because we are about to reveal the correct order. Okay, let's have a look. So we have our negative label right at the top, given based on the context of the event. For example, someone seen as an enemy during war might be seen as heroic, but in the majority of cases, it would be seen as murder if you killed somebody. Number 3 is self-concept, how we see ourselves. We accept the deviant label that we have been given. And then after that, we've got number 2, label is reinforced. We start to behave the way we have been labelled, which may encourage further deviance. So for example, drug addicts may steal to finance their habit, and this starts to lead to what we call the self-fulfilling prophecy. Number 1 is next, it's a master status, the main way in which we think of and label ourselves, and it's the main thing that people see related to how we live our lives. And then right at the end, that leads to that deviant career where we perhaps become a career criminal. So for example, convicted criminals find it really hard to get a job and maintain relationships, and they may even join up with other deviant groups as a result of that. Let's move on to mend the gap. So this time we're having a look at Albert Cohen and his ideas about delinquent subcultures. So you just need to complete the text by providing the missing words or phrases. Let's have a look. So we have working class boys feel out of place in the something class dominated school system as they have cultural something and they lack the school skills to achieve. They feel at the bottom of the official status hierarchy and they suffer from something frustration, unable to adjust their low social status. These boys resolve their frustration by rejecting mainstream middle class something, and they turn instead to other boys in the same situation, forming or joining a delinquent something where they do receive status. So again, you might want to pause for a moment to try and work out what these missing words are that would explain why some boys, particularly working class boys, end up forming delinquent subcultures. What do we think? So pause the video if you haven't already done so. Okay, let's see how you got on. Let's reveal the answers. So working class boys feel out of place in the middle class dominated school system as they have cultural deprivation and they lack the skills to achieve. They feel at the bottom of the official status hierarchy and suffer from status frustration, unable to adjust to their low social status. These boys resolve their frustration by rejecting mainstream middle class values and they turn instead to other boys in the same situation, forming or joining a delinquent subculture where they do receive status. If you got those correct, well done. Right, let's move on to a 10-second challenge. You've got 10 seconds to answer the question on screen. What is the name of the model that suggests the audience receives media messages and is directly influenced by them?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
It is the hypodermic syringe model. Let's do another. What phrase is Stan Cohen coined to describe what happens when a group of people emerge as a threat to society?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
He coined the phrase moral panic. Right, let's do another one. What do we call it when the media reinforces moral panic through sensationalist reporting?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
So we refer to this as deviancy amplification, and we've got one more 10-second challenge. What does the term folk devils mean?
Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
So it's a group of people who are being scapegoated for society's problems. Right, we have a third 60-second challenge in this revision blast. So like before, you've got to match the letters on the left with the numbers on the right, but this time we want you to think also about how these key terms are connected. Off we go. Okay, let's see how you got on. So we've got A for fraud, a crime which somebody tricks someone else to get unfair or unlawful gain. B3 is bribery, the act of offering someone money or something valuable in order to persuade them to do something for you. We've got C2, which is corruption, the misuse of public power for private gain. D1 is identity theft, the illegal use of someone else's personal information in order to obtain money or credit. And E5 is forgery, producing a fake document, signature, banknote, or work of art in order to deceive. Now, did you work out what the connection was between these 5 key terms? Well done if you spotted that they were all examples of white-collar crimes, which are something that Marxists believe the police are not particularly interested in. And they generally are carried out by middle-class people. The term white-collar comes from people wearing sort of a white shirt to work rather than blue-collar, which tends to be associated with manual workers. Right, I'm going to move on to some altered vowels this time. So each of the key phrases shown have had the vowels changed to an alternative vowel. Some of these key phrases we have already come across in this revision blast today. So let's see if you recognise them. Our first one is on the screen already, so we have talked about this one. So remember, each of the vowels has been swapped to another. What do we think this one is? Okay, let's have a look. It is delinquent subculture. Well done if you got that correct. Number 2. So linked to the last one, this one is a little bit easier because there are not so many vowels in this one to change. Let's have a look and see if you are correct. It is status frustration, which leads to the formation of those delinquent subcultures, according to Cohen. Okay, so we mentioned this at the beginning. This is to do with the new right view of crime and deviance. Let's have a look and see if you are correct. It is the culture of poverty. Number 4. So this is looking at the Marxist view on crime and deviance. Have we worked it out? It is consumerism, so the idea of wanting to purchase lots of goods, and that's generally down to those messages that we are receiving from advertising. And our last one is this one here. A key term in sociology, but it does look quite confusing, so it might take a moment to work out what this one is. Let's have a look. It is capitalism. Obviously, Marxists in particular are very critical of the term capitalism. So our last activity in this revision blast is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Some of the things that you are going to be asked you have seen already in this revision blast today. So it's consolidation for some, and hopefully it's reminding you of other things that you have learnt in the course, but we haven't already touched upon in this revision blast. So you have 2 minutes to answer 5 key things. Let's have a look at what they are. So we have 5 responses to strain identified by Robert Merton. We've got 4 ways that women have less opportunity to commit crime, according to Francis Heiderson. We've got 3 reasons for working class boys to join deviant subcultures, according to Albert Cohen. 2 deals promised to women, identified by Pat Carlin. And 1 thing that Howard Becker claims labelling can lead to. Off we go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, let's have a look at the answers. So we have our 5 responses to strain identified by Merton. This hopefully was quite easy because we've covered this one in a couple of the activities. So we've got conformity, working towards success through conventional means, innovation, turning to crimes to achieve goals, e.g. robbing a bank, ritualism, using socially approved means to achieve more modest goals, retreatism, rejecting the cultural goals and dropping out of society, and rebellion, rejecting the normal cultural goals and replacing them with their own. 4 ways that women have less opportunity to commit crime, according to Frances Heinesen. Girls given less freedom than boys, for example, they might have an earlier curfew. Women fearing sexual violence, so they stay at home. Women fearing being gossiped about, they break the social norms. And women are more likely to be closely supervised at work. 3 reasons for working class boys to join deviant subcultures, according to Albert Cohen. So the status frustration, anger at their low position in society, lack of skills in education, and cultural deprivation. Number 2. 2 deals promised to women identified by Pat Carlin. So the gender deal, material and emotional rewards of family life, and the class deal, if you work, you will get a decent standard of living. So she talked about how when these go wrong and women don't get these deals, that's when they commit crime. And lastly, one thing that Howard Becker claims labelling can lead to, a self-fulfilling prophecy where criminal becomes the master status. Right, well done for getting to the end of the revision blast. So we have covered lots of different activities looking at perspectives on crime and deviance, which hopefully will make you feel a little bit more confident going into that paper 2 exam. Please have a look at the playlist because we have revision blasts for all topics across both papers. And the last thing from me is just to wish you the very best of luck in those 2 exams.